What's up, guys and gals? Simblarosh builds back at it. Know it's been a while. Haven't had time to make content. Life kind of happened and got busy. But I'm looking forward to getting back into it. Got some projects I want to work on. One of the first things I want to do, I resin printed a shifter knob for my Mustang, and I want to take this resin print, do a mold cast, and then cast it in epoxy for the car. So I think that'd be a good project to get back into. Hopefully you guys enjoy it, and let's jump right in. Thanks. Oh, and I almost forgot. Check out these new guns and this ink. Isn't it sweet? Just kidding. Let's have fun. Hey guys, welcome back. So first thing we want to start with is prepping the ball. The shift ball is made from my resin 3D printer, so it's made out of a UV cured resin. We're going to go ahead and sand it down and fill in any imperfections with some spot putty. So some of the things we need right now is obviously your piece, sandpaper. I have 320, 800, and 400. So I'm going to start out with the 320, wet sanding all of this, and then move over to the 4 and the 8 because I want this thing as sleek as I can get it. So when I do the mold, it's really smooth. For the imperfections, I'm going to use the Bondo spot putty that you guys have seen me use in other videos. This stuff works great. So I'm going to use this, but I got to make sure that I don't fill in any of the little details that I want to be on the shifter knob. And then after we finish getting the ball prepped, we're going to move on to actually making the mold casing and prepping the ball for pouring silicone. So I'm going to move the camera in close so you guys can see what I'm doing with the ball. Alright, so the ball's it's pretty smooth. There's a few little dimples where I need to fill in with the spot putty and sand that real quick, but that's not difficult. So I guess the next thing I want to show you guys is we're going to take these sheets of plastic. I cut 5 sheets of plastic. They're roughly 4 inches by 4 inches, and we're basically going to make a box without a lid. And then we're going to glue the ball in place right in the center of that box, and we're going to pour the silicone around it. So that's kind of the plan right now. So we'll move on to that part now. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so the ball is pretty much ready. You can see I've got some spot putty on the bottom and around it. Now we're going to go ahead and glue it to the base. I got a piece of copper tubing that I'm going to use for that. So I'm going to take the tubing, put it on the bottom of it, let the glue kind of drip down in. Seal it off so no silicone gets inside that tube. Sorry, it's taking a minute to cool off. So, just to tell you about the ball here, it's got my face on it. Back when I had a mullet, I did an image and basically created a cutout of that image, and then I've got my gamer tag on here, which is Simblarosh, and then also it's got the name of the car, which is Betty, and my Rocket League rank, which is a Diamond 3. So I thought that was kind of cool. It's different, right? Kind of a different type of guy. I like having odd stuff. So that looks like that's pretty much cooling off, so we can go ahead and stick some down right here on the center. Alright, put it on there pretty liberally. I'm just going to set this bad boy on there, make sure it's seated good. Alright, change of plan. The Umu 30 that I had been sitting up on my shelf for a while, and it actually cured in the bottles. So I had some Rebound 25, which is a different type of silicone. We're going to use that one instead. So I think it'll work just as well, but we'll try this one. So again, I'm going to get it up kind of high. I'm going to go real slow. I think I'm going to start just straight on the... I'm going to let it kind of run down the piece. I don't think one of these cups is going to be quite enough, so we may have to mix another one. I got a fan going that's kind of blowing my silicone everywhere. This is a messy job. Stuff gets everywhere. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it. We just gotta let it cure. Tap it a little bit, see if that helps loosen up any bubbles. There is going to be bubbles in here. I don't have a vacuum chamber, but hopefully not too bad. I'm going to clean up the workspace, and we will see you guys once it's cured. Alright guys, it's the next day. We're going to go ahead and crack this bad boy open, and we'll cut a seam in the silicone to get to the actual shifter, and then we'll try to get it out of the mold. So we'll get started. So these can be reused. I'll just clean the hot glue off the plastic later, and silicone comes right off of it, but you can reuse these plastic pieces for other small molds. Alright, so we'll just trim up the edges first, just to kind of clean it up.
So I'm not sure what the best way is to crack this guy open. I'm thinking I'm going to take just down one side and cut a line. So when you cut the line, don't cut a straight line, because then the block may not mesh up perfect. So when you cutting, you got to kind of cut in a zigzag pattern. That creates like a it creates like a I don't know how you would describe it. Just it's like a puzzle inlay to where the pieces fall back where they need to be. Because if not, your piece might come out kind of warped, not right. So let's see. We'll start about right here and just kind of cut a zigzag. It's gonna be kind of tough, but kind of want to open it up some. And so that's what I got so far. As you can see, hey guys, got a new mic. It's a wireless mic, so I guess we'll have to see how it sounds. Hopefully it sounds pretty good. The silicone mold is ready to go. I've pulled it out of the mother mold plastic shell that I made for it, and we cut some zigzag slits in it so that whenever we do put the epoxy in it, it closes back up and it kind of meshes up back together. So now what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and mix up the epoxy. I've got some mica powder. Thinking we're going to start with just like a basic silver, kind of like sparkle. And this stuff, I've done a test run. I put way too much in it, so it was not transparent. I want it to be more translucent, so I'm going to put a lot less in there, and we'll just mix it up. One other thing that I've got that is really helpful when you're doing these epoxy things is a pressure pot. So it helps you getting the bubbles out of the epoxy before you pour it into the mold. So what I have is this pressure pot here. I made this one. It is actually a pressurized paint canister. You can buy the canister at Harbor Freight, and I just bought the fittings that I needed to be able to hook an air hose to it, to the regulator, and I think I put roughly 50 pounds of pressure in it. You don't want to put more than that. I think the canister is only rated at like 60, so I go around 50 and leave the epoxy in here for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then when you pull it out, it basically draws all the bubbles out. So we're going to go ahead and mix the epoxy first, and then we'll put it in the pressure pot. So for this pour, I'm using the Beast Bond crystal clear epoxy resin and hardener. It's an equal parts 1-to-1 mix ratio, which means it's easy to mix. I think I'm going to put 50 grams of each in the mixing cup, and that usually is enough to do this one. So we're going to put the cup on here, zero it out. Before I start, let me grab some gloves. Now, I'm going to set up the pressure pot. I'll show you guys. We'll put it in there, pressurize it to 60 pounds, and then let it sit in there a minute. I doubt you'll be able to see the consistency of this thing. Let's see if I can get it to focus. It's hard to tell. But we're gonna go ahead and I like to swirl it before I put it in. That gets some of the bubbles out and it helps mix the flakes a little more. We'll drop it in here. Put the cap on. I've marked the cap with some marks so that I know where to line up these clamps, so that they're not in the way with my pressure gauge. You gotta get them fairly tight so that you don't have a leak. All right. Now I got my air hose. Make sure the valve is turned off, which is the horizontal to the flow of the air. Hook that up. Now we're gonna let a little air in here until it gets to my mark, which is at 50 pounds. All right, that's it. Then I'll disconnect this so I don't accidentally put more air in it. We're gonna let this guy sit for a minute. Hopefully it'll draw the bubbles out, and then we will be ready to go ahead and pour into our mold. And for the mold, to keep it closed and tight, I usually just take a rubber band, go around it like that. If you guys can see it, it's nothing crazy, just keeps it from opening back up once I start pouring epoxy in it. That's it. Be back in a second. All right, guys. It's been about 10 minutes or so, so we're gonna go ahead and open up the pressure pot and take out the resin. Hopefully there's no bubbles in there. We'll do a quick glance. If there is, I'll put it back in, but hopefully not. So to release the pressure, it's pretty simple. I just crack the valve and let the air out. All right, looking at first glance, looks pretty darn good. I don't see any bubbles in there, so I think we got them. All right, so we are going to go ahead and take that epoxy and pour it in the mold. Just close this up, get it out the way. All right, so when pouring it, you want to pour it really slow. Because if you pour it too fast, if there is cavities inside the mold that air can get trapped in, then you'll end up with bubbles in there regardless. So you want to pour this thing really slow, a thin stream, and just let it slowly fill the mold up. All right, and now we just let it cure. This resin takes about 24 hours. 24 hours, it's hard enough to where you can handle it and kind of force it out of this mold. And then part two of the videos, I think, will be us actually polishing it up and doing the paint that I want to do on it and everything else. We'll get into that later. That's it for now. We just let it cure. All right, guys. That's it for this episode. It's going to be probably a two-part video. We've got the epoxy poured, so the next video we'll pull this thing out, go through the whole sanding and polishing steps to get it nice and shiny, and then I'll put some paint where it needs paint. We'll go through all that in the second video. So thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. I appreciate it, and drop a like and comment. I'm always looking to communicate with you guys. If you got a question, more than happy to answer it. Later.